match. Speed it up. It's Bant Infect, actually. Okay. Little white hiding out here for Stephen Barnes. As a breeding pool is where he'll start.
2 copies, it's a Fairy Time Raveler.
Yeah, good card. It allows you to go off. They can't play anything.
Yeah.
Right? There's a Path to Exile going to go after. Ooh, Apostle's Blessing, too. You don't see that one very often.
Bant.
Apostle's Blessing going to protect that Glistener Elf from the Path to Exile. As Hobbs is going to search up a Hollowed Fountain. He falls down to 19, does Jonathan. Celestial Colony to go along with that. Here's a Snapcaster Mage that's looking to block. It looks like that exchange will occur. Inkmoth Nexus will get its damage in, and now there is the Path to Exile. That Snapcaster Mage did target, and Vines of Vastwood does save the Inkmoth Nexus. See some more infect damage coming across here. And we head back over to Hobbs, who's got a Field of Ruin, which is a nice card in this spot. Now here's a Groundswell. We will have the infect damage, the amount that is being dealt here, in just a moment. Do apologize for that technical difficulty. There's a Field of Ruin that's looking to go after that Inkmoth. There it is. Hobbs has 8, which is a lot. Another Field of Ruin. Back over to Barnes. Gonna fire up Inkmoth again. Now it's a Distortion Strike.
So going for lethal.
Now prepare for a somewhat lengthy judge call here because that Distortion Strike should be exiled and not in the graveyard. And I believe I've been notified that some unwinding of the game may take place here in just a moment. So they did get the game state corrected, but the Distortion Strike that is in the graveyard should actually be exiled because that's how Rebound works.
Yep.
And now that's being pointed out. Distortion Strike is... Rebound's kind of an older mechanic. What set was that? Stagger Shock?
That was, is it Rise?
Yeah, Rise of the Eldrazi, which was almost a decade. Oh my gosh. Maybe like 7 years ago? 8 years ago? No.
8, yeah.
Was Rise pre-Delver?
Yeah, it was my my open win, which was 2011.
Ugh.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah. Rise of the Eldrazi was where that rebound mechanic is from, so. Called over a judge, got things sorted out, make sure the game state and the battlefield and everything else looks the way that it should. But for right now, Stephen Barnes has a pretty decent lead here, and Hobbs is trying to catch back up. I will tell you, Azorius Control is very popular among our top name players here this weekend, Jonathan Hobbs being one of them. And it's always nice to see when you're able to actually fix it up, as Ethan Gajewski's walking by now.
Speeding through this. All right. All Barnes' stuff is dead, and soon Barnes will be dead.
Is that what you think?
My best guess.
Have you got to talk to young Ethan yet today?
Not today.
No. I am very curious to see what he's going to be playing in what might be one of his most important tournaments ever here this weekend.
Yeah, good run here, and he's almost good to go.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
Pretty close to a lock for the Players' Championship, a goal that he's been very vocal about wanting to accomplish there on Twitter. Teferi Time Raveler, going to plus it. Teferi Hero Dominaria, going to plus that. Let's see what this is going to be. There's a basic Plains for Hobbs. There's a Narset. Okay. Minus the Narset. Take a card. Path to Exile is not a bad card to take. The reason that Hobbs can do all of this stuff and put his shields down on his turn is because Barnes doesn't really have anything going on. Doesn't have an infect creature on the battlefield. So now Hobbs will untap and draw. He's going to Teferi. He's going to minus to tuck that Teferi on Stephen Barnes' side. Narset's going to find Cryptic Command. We might be okay. Well, this looks like
running up the score.
This looks a lot like round 1 from Jack Fogle. This trio of Planeswalkers is a lot for people to beat. Oh, Noble Hierarch, though.
Playing it out. You'll love to see it.
And Glistener Elf. Hobbs going to do a little Teferi, a little Narsetting, a little Supreme Verdict, a little Jace Fate Seal, pass the turn back. Cryptic Command just face up on the table, which I love. Draw a Wrath, Fate Seal to the bottom. Narset can't go active. Going to play a Flooded Strand, pass the turn back. And I think it'll probably be a Jace Ultimate that probably ends this game. Yeah, we're all done. Jonathan Hobbs is going to win game number 1 here over Stephen Barnes. These players go to the drawing board. You can take a look at their sideboards because Cardboard Live is up. We can take a look at Hobbs' sideboard and see a Proffery Nose, a Celestial Purge, a Stony Silence, a Timely Reinforcements, a Spell Queller, a Lyra Dawnbringer, Disdainful Stroke, Dovin's Veto, Surgical Extraction, Engineer Explosives, Ashok, Dream, Render, all one-ofs to go along with 2 Ceremonious Rejections and 2 Rest in Peace.
I'm into the Explosives, the Veto, the Spell Queller, the Proffery Nodes, maybe the Timely.
Decent options.
Yeah, good sideboard.
For Stephen Barnes, his Bant Infect deck has 2 Dispels, 2 Path to Exile, 2 Nature's Claim, 2 Grafdigger's Cage, 3 Invisible Stalker. Nice. A Viridian Corruptor, 2 Dovin Hand of Control, pardon me, and a Wild Defiance. I think you definitely want Dispel. I don't know about the rest of these, though.
Yeah, 2 Dispels.
Not a ton to change here. Teferi Time Raveler is an interesting idea. You know, the thought process there is you play that, it stays on the battlefield. You have maybe an Inkmoth Nexus on the battlefield with that, and then you can just kill your opponent because they can't interact with you.
Right, yeah. I mean, Infect loses when the opponent is able to interact effectively on your turn, and Teferi makes that impossible. Yeah. So it makes sense why you'd be interested in it.
I'm like kind of into that against control decks specifically. But it's also hard to get off the battlefield with 4 loyalty. Noble Hierarch, Oust. That one's worth reading. It's a bit annoying is the Oust. And there's another Noble Hierarch. Back over to Hobbs. He'll play a Hallowed Fountain tapped. This is Teferi. Okay. So let's see if this is actually going to work. There is no Infect threat on the battlefield right now. There's Field of Ruin. Well, Detention Sphere is going to take care of that. There is that Noble Hierarch from earlier. And now it's Invisible Stalker. Ever heard of regular damage?
That's surprising. I would assume that Invisible Stalker is for something like Death Shadow, where regular damage is more part of the equation and they don't kill it very easily.
Invisible Stalker is 1/1 hexproof, unblockable, I think.
Yeah, this feels like you're just begging for a sweeper, begging for it.
Little Serum Visions action here. This will be a Mutagenic Growth. Vines of the Vastwood. Vines of the Vastwood. 4, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's 13 damage.
That's just not that much damage. I mean, you got to do what you got to do or whatever. That's just not that much damage.
Hobbs is down to 7. There's some dilly and click, I think, in the draw step. Stalker's going to stalk on in for 2. Hobbs down to 5. Opting. 13, not that much? Since when?
For your whole hand?
All right, for your whole hand, maybe not that
right. It's like, I mean, it's a lot in terms of, how much damage does a person take in a turn? 13's a lot.
Yes. You don't see 13-point attacks all that often.
Just going back to my childhood of Black Lotus Ball Lightning. It's had that feel to it.
Field of Ruin's going to take care of that Dryad Arbor. Hobbs is going to search up an island. I don't think Stephen Barnes has any more basics to search up. But he's still got an Invisible Stalker that's coming in for 2. Hobbs is down to 3. Dovin's Veto is going to take care of that Become Immense that was top decked. Hobbs will come in for 3 of his own. And now there is Supreme Verdict. You were saying begging to get Wrath.
That actually went, as far as that goes, that went pretty well.
Yeah. Things are about to get a little bit worse.
Yeah, I mean, Barnes is dead. But like as far as that game plan goes, that went pretty well.
Teferi Time Raveler is going to tick up. Breeding Pool is the land that has been found here for Stephen Barnes. We'll head back over to Stephen. He'll draw, play Wooded Foothills, pass the turn back. Narset's going to take over now. Take a look at the top couple of cards. Hey, Cryptic Command, that's a good Magic card. 7 counters on Teferi, 3 on Narset. Cryptic Command at the ready. I think Hobbs is going to be working himself to a 2-0 victory here momentarily. So here's another Narset activation. Jace the Mind Sculptor is not a bad choice. Deploy Jace, play it, Brainstorm, top 3 cards. 2 going back here for young Jonathan Hobbs. He'll play a land, still Cryptic Command up and ready. Noble Hierarch, a little bit worse than these 3 Planeswalkers. Cryptic, I think that may have been a counter draw. Time to untap all those lands. Hobbs at 2. He'll Fate Seal. Teferi Time Raveler will move up to 8. Narset can't go active. Colonnade was the land. Jace up to 7. Fate Seal. You can keep it. Teferi Time Raveler up to 9. Colonnade. Oh, yeah. Feeling it. Getting in there for 4. Barnes down to 8. Which way does Hobbs want to kill?
It's a race. Yeah, it's a race between the Jace Ultimate and the Colonnade.
Yeah.
Anyone's game.
I think Hobbs is going to fall down to 1. Couple snappies. Colonnade. Bounce your creature with my Teferi.
And you can't cast any reaction, and there it is.
Jonathan Hobbs is going to win this game and match here over Stephen Barnes.